Hello and welcome to another wonderful interview with an exciting woman that I have here who's written a very exciting book. But first of all, I'm Sigrid de Kaste. I'm a book writing and marketing strategist with a very unique program for coaches and consultants in particular who want to write a book that raises their profile, positions their expertise, and attracts new clients with ease. And I have with me today Lorna McLaren. Hello, Lorna.
Hello, Sigrid. It's a thrill to be here. I love Australia. I've been there a few times with work.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Well, Lorna, you are an award-winning corporate trainer and international speaker and a best-selling author of the book Before It Hits the Fan. And I'm looking forward to talking more about that. Now, you've helped thousands of organizations and individuals throughout 7 countries. Wow, how exciting to positively change the impact of how they communicate. Now, communication is the most important part, isn't it, of anything we do?
Yeah, I would agree.
So I could say more about you, but I think it'll be really great if we can get you to tell us about yourself a little bit, how you got to where you are. And then I'm really interested to hear more about your direction with communication and the book that you've written. Tell us a bit how you got to where you are, Lorna.
Well, I'm thrilled to be speaking with some budding authors with us today. You got to do this. And I'm thrilled. I had this book on my mind for about 7 or 8 years. And I used to travel doing corporate training, and the book was in my head. I thought, I'm working with so many busy professionals. And I thought, why not put together a book with some quick tips on how to master the moment no matter what hits the fan, how to think clearly, how, especially when pressure is high and when there's conflict or high emotions, it's hard to think clearly. So basically it's 17 years of all the people saying this was my favorite tip. So it's not really a front to back read. I put together a book of quick tips on how to instantly reduce conflict, instantly reduce stress, and tap into your intelligence when the situation seems insane. So that's my lofty goal with this book.
Oh, fantastic. Now, can I just throw in a question here? So yes. I have that to be able to say and respond in the moment with communication. I would venture to say right now that that is such an important point, because often, particularly as a woman, as a female, it seems to be that the person that's asking you, interviewing you, or getting you to say something, there is a bit of a, I don't want to call it a put down, but there's sort of like they're trying to put you in a position where you can't really say what you'd like to, because it makes you look not the best. Do you feel that can happen?
You know, that's thank you for bringing that up. It is interesting because women, we need to control the narrative out there. And women, we do think differently than men. And I was speaking very briefly with you just before this. It seems that I like to think that the pendulum is on one side. There's a lot of male influence, which is fantastic. Yet we need to have a female voice as well. There needs to be more equality, and we need to step up a little bit more. In my opinion, silence is acceptance. If you don't critique it, you condone it. And telepathy doesn't work.
No, that's right. So it's really time to speak up and to be, I like it, to be prepared through communication, that you can say it, as you say, within the context at the time. And yes. Really important to have quick tips. So yes, some books are there to be read from front to back. Others you can jump in and out, and that makes it exciting, because it's not, you know, it's not, you don't have to take the time in the same way.
Thank you. That was the idea, because I think theory is fantastic, but sometimes we need to have something in the heat of the moment. And specifically, I wanted to write the book for people under pressure and stress, because here's a fact. A legal document is null and void if signed under stress or duress. If you talk to any lawyers, it's not easy to prove. But the point is, under high pressure, high emotional situations, we are temporarily compromised from our ability to think rationally and reasonably in the heat of the moment. And this whole book is designed to, okay, here's the words to avoid, here's the words to say, here's what you can do instantly to think more clearly and to get out of that reptilian trigger responsive mode, and to feel a sense of control and to get a sense of control. during pressure situations, because when the pressure is high and the moments are brief, what you say is in that defining moment matters, and we don't want to have regrets. So that's what it's about, how to master the moment no matter what hits the fan.
Yeah, that's and we need that in this fast-paced world more and more anyway, and especially now with being online and getting in cross-country, cross-cultural situations where you have to be very quick in responding in the right way. You want to have your say, but you don't want to put somebody else down in that way or overstep the line in what they feel where the line is. I think that's a very important part of communication, I would imagine.
It's interesting when you mention that, whereas under pressure or high emotions, nobody wants to feel like you put them down. Yet with that said, one thing I want to mention is the brain works through imagery or visualization. Even when they're listening to words, we create pictures in our brain. And one thing I want to mention is focus on what you want to have happen, not what you don't want to have happen. For example, if I were to say, I won't let Frank make me cry, everyone's visualizing me crying and giving control to Frank. And yes, humans are wired to worry. But again, if you focus on what you want to have happen, we intuitively visualize that. So if I were to say, I'll be calm when I speak with Frank, now we're visualizing me in a sense of control and a sense of calm. So again, the brain doesn't visualize the word don't. And when we're really in high pressure stress situations, did you know that if you're into reading the world of psychology, sometimes one word can change the genes that regulate physical and emotional stress? So for an example, there's nothing wrong with the word why per se. Yet if we're in a high stress situation, the moment somebody says the word why, we sometimes get triggered into I'm being blamed, I'm being accused, and I have to defend myself. For example, why were you late? Why did you wear that outfit? Why did you come here today? It's like, well, why not? So sometimes under pressure, the word why triggers, I'm being blamed, I got to defend myself. And over 90% of what we do tends to be subconscious. So one thing I mentioned is under high stress situations, even by using the word how, even if you're under a lot of pressure, when you hear the word how, it triggers the reasoning or the rationale behind the decision, and it doesn't trigger a knee-jerk reaction of defense. So these are the things that I find fascinating. And even how we use our voice or how we breathe can change how we think during high stress situations. So, yeah.
That is fascinating. I know that in many mindset programs and different scenarios, the saying always is focus on what you want, and yet somehow the brain keeps very quickly the mindset, the thinking very quickly goes back to yes, I want this and I don't want that, or but I don't want that. Is that something that we have acquired through our education or through our where does that come from that we so
really I think Sigrid, is the human factor. I think humans in general, we are wired to worry. And when you think of how to influence people, how to inspire people, all humans in general are inspired or motivated by two basic things. We go towards what gives us pleasure, or we want to avoid what gives us pain. And most of us are spending so much time avoiding pain. It's like a newspaper. If it bleeds, it leads. It's that fear factor. So of course, humans want to avoid, we might be wired to worry, yet worrying is the same as negative goal planning when you think about it. I won't let him make me cry. So again, focusing on what you want to have happen helps us think more clearly in getting our message across.
So that thought about this is what I want and I don't want this is kind of almost like a natural reaction to our thinking, and we really need to work on letting that go in our communication.
Now, yes, because I do agree, it is great for us to know what we don't want. That's very motivating. Yet to be able to choose the words so that people are not focusing on what you don't want. So if I say I don't want someone to make me cry, here's something that you guys can Google this. What I say is Googleable. Of all of the sensory organs in the human body, your eyesight is the only sensory organ that has brain cells in it.
Wow.
So your eyes are an extension of the brain. I actually had some eye surgery a couple of days ago, so I can't really tell, you know, how I look at this point, but talk to an optometrist about it. So we tend to create visuals in our brain. Just like Dr. Martin Luther King, he said, I have a dream rather than I have a to-do list. So words make us visualize things. So if we can focus on what it's like your spiritual beliefs, or maybe it's like your integrity or your moral compass. That's what you have pulling you forward in everything you do in your life. So the idea of be aware of what you don't want. Yet if you want to be more impactful as a communicator, focus on what you want to have happen. So we intuitively visualize that. It's like skiing trees. If you look at the tree, you hit the tree. If you look between the trees, you tend to go by them.
And talk about skiing, because you're in Canada, I wouldn't be applying in Australia.
Oh, sorry about that. But every ski hill I've worked in is filled with Australians, and they're so much fun. So love Australians.
No, it's great. It's a great it's a great analogy. And look, that really reminds me of visualization and visual. That's an interesting fact. I didn't know that the eyes are connected to the brain, but certainly I am a very visual person, and I see things, and I talk or write in see this or seeing more than any other terminology there. And also, now coming back, you said about your book, which is, you know, about communication, and it is easy to read because you don't have to follow from front to back. You can jump in and out to get that information or to get tips out of it. You said it took you a long time to write. What?
No, I just think, oh, what an idiot. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there. This book has been on my head. It was in my head for 7 years. I speak about this stuff, and the people are saying, I love this tip. I love this tip. I use it all the time. Or people would say, oh yeah, I learned this 5 years ago. I still use it. Where's the book? And I kept thinking, it's been 7 years and I haven't written the book. And so I'd look in front of a piece of paper and I just couldn't write, even though it was in my head. Yeah. And so I would highly recommend, you need to have a strategy. And I am a bit of an ADD person, so that's why I like the book in chapters you can read, not front to back. Nobody has the time for theory. And it's a quick rescue in the heat of the moment. And it's designed to be simple, quick, fun, and focused. Yet I needed a system to get that book out of my head and into the market. So I actually chose to publish it through Amazon, because you're allowed to launch a book before it's written, but you have a deadline. The book must be available for purchase. I think it was within a 2-month period of launching it. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna launch the book, and now I'm under the gun. If I don't have it written in 2 months, I will be banned from Amazon. So that was a great motivator. So the first month I did nothing. The next couple of weeks I got panicked thinking, well, this is crazy, I can't write the book. And then sure enough, in the last 10 days, boom, it came out effortlessly. But ladies and gentlemen, you can avoid all that if you have somebody to help you with the strategies. So.
Yeah, that's good to know. So you really put yourself under pressure, but it's a really great point for mentioning that. So in my program, I teach or, you know, show people exactly how to go through the Amazon system. And that's a really valid point there. You can put yourself out there by putting the book up already for sale, so people can have a pre-purchase, and then you are on a timeline to produce it. Now, it's probably not everybody's cup of tea, so to speak, to put that much pressure on. But I think with knowing what you want to write about, it makes a difference, and having that strategy at the very beginning. Now, Lorna, the title of your book is excellent. It really struck me. Now, it really struck me because it says exactly what it is, and it also immediately implies who it is for. So this is it's a big mistake many authors make, that they are unclear in their title. They come up with some title that sounds mystical, you know, sort of, it doesn't really say anything. Yours is clear. Everybody knows what it is about, and also who wants to read it. It's a very clear direction for you. You're using that to attract clients in that way for yourself as well?
Yes, I am. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's a big deal, the title. And it needs to be crystal clear. And I wondered about the younger generation. Do they hear that phrase before it hits the fan? But most people have heard it. And my American friends call me the Cliff Clavin of Canada, because I I collect copious amounts of statistics and facts and data, and I share them with people whether they like it or not. But in America, you got the National Institute for Occupational Health and Safety.
Yes.
And they determine each year what stresses their employees out the most. And in 2019, one of the #1 stressors in America were people at work that did not know how to bring up a conflict. They did not know how to discuss something that was challenging, how to say what they mean in a way that wouldn't, as you said, insult or deter or trigger other people, because nobody's really taught these skills. So
yeah, that's definitely, I think that's, like I said earlier, it's definitely something we all need to know about, be aware of, particularly in this global world that we are in. You know, using the online sphere constantly, we can connect with anyone, anywhere. So to have communication skills, to be aware and alert to, even visually, and coming back to the visual importance of the visual again, you are looking at the other person you are speaking to, or even if it is a room full of people, you can tell by their mimic, gesture, and so on who they are to some extent. I think people, you really cannot totally disguise yourself, certainly not, in my opinion, even online. So it's really great part of the communication to be online and know how to respond, especially when it's alive.
Well, you know, and especially under pressure and stress, because all of us have been there. No matter how intelligent we are, under pressure and stress, all of us will take our foot out of our mouths just long enough to put the other one in.
Yeah.
And how do you redeem yourself when you just say the wrong thing? You just can't get that back. So these are tips on what to do and say to get control before it gets out of control, and to have that sense of feeling the control. It's a good thing.
I think so too. So I would like to put you on the spot here and say, what would be 1 or 2 really to you important tips you want to leave our listeners and viewers with? And we'll make sure that we put the link to your book below the video. I think that's very important, because it's not just for, we said that you're working with corporates, but it's really for everybody.
It's everyone. So after I did the book in 2017, then I had a stroke in 2019. I got use of my limbs and my brain wasn't damaged, and I lived. So now I feel surviving something like that motivated me to work more specifically, I think, with women to have a voice. And ladies, have you ever heard the phrase, when a man is assertive, he's called successful, and when a woman's assertive, she's called a bitch? So sometimes women feel, I better not say it out loud, they're going to call me a bitch. And in my opinion, it's a dog. Humankind's most loyal and faithful companion is a dog. And if they're dyslexic, they'll be calling you God. So in my little book called The Bitch Perspective, I have some acronyms. In my opinion, bitch stands for best individual the company's hired.
Wow.
Maybe boys, I'm taking charge here. Or being in total control of herself. So there has never been a great leader who wasn't a great communicator. And I have been that person who didn't know how to speak up, afraid of being rude or afraid of being called emotional, and questioning is there something wrong with me, until I learned how to speak with power and to speak with confidence. And I love it. And I would love to help other people do the same thing. Have a voice.
I love it.
No regret.
I think the time for it is now. Thank you, Lorna. I thank you for your time and sharing some really personal details with us as well, and certainly your book journey. I think that's an excellent example of writing a book with a purpose in mind, with an outcome in mind, with a title that shows what it is about and who it is for. And on your path, particularly working with women or looking to support women, I think that is the time is right now.
Thanks. Now, I was going to just suggest, if you go to my website, I give out free digital versions of the book.
Yeah.
So, and I'm part Scottish, so I love to, I want to get the information out more than anything. So if you want to go to the website, just download the book. I mean, it's nice to have a physical one, but I give everyone a download of the book. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys.
So we need to put the link to your website on there to make sure that people can have a look there. That's excellent. Thank you so much. You're very generous, and I really appreciate your time and sharing so much with us right now.
Thanks. It's a thrill to be here, and thanks for letting me chat with everyone.
Wonderful.